Welcome back to the List Building Lifestyle. I'm your host, Igor Kfetz. And it's pretty common for me to get a question from my students and subscribers asking me about my average day, or how do I get so much done, or how do I combine fatherhood and parenthood along with running a multi-million-dollar business. And in this episode, I'm being interviewed by one of my dearest friends, ex-students, but someone who became a marketing powerhouse in their own right, somebody who's had tremendous success and impact on so many different people, my friend David Deco. And so he interviews me for a program, for one of his programs, and he posed the question to describe my typical day as well as my routine as far as getting stuff done. So if you ever wanted to find out what it's like to be a multi-million-dollar business owner who gets a lot done, and what exactly does an average day look like? Well, first I want to assure you that it's not glamorous. It's not like I drive around in a limo or live on an island. Nothing like that. It's a pretty normal, boring life, but I do thrive in structure. So in this episode, I will share with you what my typical day looks like and how I combine running a hyper profitable business with lots of different moving parts, along with being a good father and a husband, which is the two qualities I really thrive on as far as my self-esteem and self-image. So enjoy.
I'm Igor Kfetz, and this is the List Building Lifestyle, the podcast for anyone who wants to build a wildly profitable email list working from home. If you'd like to make six figures, travel the world, and help people improve their lives in the process, this podcast is for you. I also invite you to claim a free copy of my best-selling book, The List Building Lifestyle: Confessions of an Email Millionaire, at igorsbook.com. Get the free book plus $3,000 bonus package that includes my best capture page templates, email swipe files, and traffic blueprints. Visit www.igorsbook.com for details. And now, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle.
Hey everyone, so welcome back. In this session, what we're going to be talking about, what I want to dive into, Igor, in this session is your actual lifestyle, and what does your day look like for somebody who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars per week? How do you structure your day, or not structure? Example, I don't have any kind of structure whatsoever. I just wake up and I do things. That's basically my day. But how does your day look like for somebody who's making, over $4 million a year? I mean, we're curious. We want to find out. So if you can share some of that, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, with pleasure. So the beauty of this industry is you can be most organized person in the world, or most disorganized person in the world, or the laziest person in the world, or the most disciplined person in the world, and you will still be able to achieve the result you want to achieve, because there's many ways of doing it. So for you, it's all about freedom. And anytime you try to put yourself into any sort of structure, you feel like it's a job and it's not fun anymore. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm a disciplined man, or a disciplined person, because my dad's an Army guy. He was an officer in the Red Army back in Soviet Union. His dad's an Army guy. And I went to a military boarding school since the age of 14 until the age of about 20. So I'm like friends with discipline, and discipline helps me. It keeps me more organized. It keeps me on point. So the average day, and not every single day is exactly alike, but the average day starts with me waking up around 7:20. I get downstairs, or before I go downstairs, I wake up my daughter Erica, and by the time we're down, my wife is making some eggs. And so while me and my daughter wait for the breakfast, my wife is preparing the breakfast, we turn on YouTube and we watch some educational stuff for kids. Like, for example, earlier today, we watched a rap video about triangles, and how do you, what's the difference between triangles with equal sides and triangles with bigger angle or whatever. So, making it a little bit educational. And then we have our breakfast, we brush our teeth, we get dressed. I live in Canada, so I warm up the car for a little bit, for a few minutes, and then we go to school. I do the school run, takes about 15 to 20 minutes or so. Now, I take Erica to school, And then when I go back, I don't actually go home. So you're seeing me in my home office right now, but most of the time on my way back from school, I stop at the local Israeli coffee shop. It's called the Landwehr Coffee Shop. And I spend the next, I'd say 4 to 6 hours or so in that coffee shop. Again, most of the time. Sometimes when I need to record sessions like this or do my podcast or whatever, like I'll go back home because I need the environment to record. But if I'm working on a promotion, then most of that promotion work requires writing emails and thinking, and I do well in that environment. Now, I also time myself when I work, which is like a productivity trick I learned recently. And, my effort comes down to creating effective communication with my market, which means writing emails, writing maybe like outlines and scripts for my videos. More recently, this is not my typical thing, but more recently I spent about 2 weeks writing a book. Before that, I was working on a webinar, so that took about, I want to say 3 weeks of actual thinking. But when it comes to promoting products, it's always the same. It's a system, it's a systematic approach that I broke down into steps, and I go from, I have a checklist, kind of like, when I was in the Air Force, we used to have, they wouldn't let us go towards the plane without a checklist this thick because, people's lives depend on it.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I did the same thing. I created a checklist of, okay, step 1, watch the webinar replay, pull out the talking points. Step 2, review the order form and outline the offer. Step 3, what are the dates of the webinar? What do I need to say in the video saying like, attend the webinar on such and such date and such time. Okay, I got this, great. I got the fodder, now I can continue. So the next step, let's do, okay, write 3 emails for the live webinar, write 2 emails inviting to the encore, write 3 emails for the replay. Okay, done with that. Okay, cool. Now send emails to technical assistant to load emails onto the server and so on. So I try to make things as systematic as possible for the simple reason that it makes my life so much easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's discipline, all right. That's discipline. So really, I mean, what you just described is that person that, you walk in and you always see them in the coffee shop with their laptop drinking like a latte or an espresso, and they have like a Bentley parked outside, and then you're like, where's the Bentley from? This is how it works, guys. This is how you do it. You work on, like Igor said, communications with your tribe, communications with your list and stuff, and you work on promotions and you work on the things that actually make money. So, okay, so to recap, you basically wake up, you don't do anything business related until you drop off your daughter to school, and then on the way back, you stop most days, like some days, at the coffee shop, and you work on the promotion. Now, what happens after you're done with the coffee shop and working on the promotion?
Right. So after 4 to 6 hours of me working on the promotion or checking stats or getting reports from my team and maybe getting on a call with my people, what I do is I have about an hour and a half before I have to go out and get Erica from school. So in that time, what I try to do, again, most of the time, not every time, I try to spend some time with my wife, because when you have 2 kids, it's kind of, gets really difficult sometimes to maintain that romance in a relationship. So I try as much as possible have intimate dinners with my wife. So around that time, she walks into the coffee shop, and we end up having lunch together. I'll have my salad, she'll have her spaghetti, whatever. And then from there, I'm setting out to pick up Erica. She goes back home, and depending on the day of the week, if she's got any classes after school, it's either going back home or going to those classes. Like today, for example, she's got karate class, like back to back with her school. So from school directly to karate class. After that, homework. And so if you look at my life, aside from the whole thing that I work in a coffee shop, it's not that much different of a typical normal life. The only difference is I do things out of choice rather than necessity or being hostage to it. I also get to make a lot more money doing it, and I enjoy what I do. But also, I mean, I was always about family. I never strived for a fancy life. But I know people who, like, literally, the moment they figured out this sort of strategy, immediately dropped everything, moved to Thailand, built a big mansion in Thailand, and that's it. That's all they do. Do a little bit of internet marketing, then hit the beach or go to a club or something. So the beauty of this business, the beauty of this model is it supports any lifestyle. So whatever your preference is, by all means, execute.
Right. So really, I mean, guys, let me highlight a few things here, because this is kind of important. For everybody that thinks that to increase your income, you need to work more hours, that's 100% like not correct. Yeah, you probably will have days where you work, Igor, I'm sure you'll confirm this, where you work 10, 12 hours and stuff. I do that too as well. But there are also days where I take 3 days off in a row and I don't touch anything. Like I just came back from a 5-day vacation in Punta Cana and 5-star resort, and I barely touched my laptop while I was there, and money was still pouring in, no problem. And Igor, you got that going on too, where you run an airplane 30,000 feet in the air and you land and you see $12,000 came in while you were in the air and stuff. Like, that's the beauty of this kind of a business, guys, where if you really focus on the things that make the difference and not just, consume stuff for the sake of consuming stuff and not ever execute and not work on, creating the promos is what makes this work. I mean, isn't that true, Igor? It's
absolutely. Anytime I need a spike of revenue, right? It's about to run a promo. And anytime that I'm seeing that my revenue went down is because I didn't run promos. For example, and I'm not afraid to admit this, but my business isn't always like growing. Just like any other business, it has its ups and downs. So last month, I didn't run a single promo, David, not a single one, because I wanted to finish my book. That's all I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna laser focus on the book right now, and that's what I've done. Didn't run a single promo. As a result, one of the lowest months that I've had in the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. But this month,
the book.
But I did finish the book, yeah. So
right.
It's not out yet as of the moment of recording this, but it's out there, and it's gonna produce huge dividends for my company as a result. And it's just personally just a big milestone for me as a human being, because I always wanted to write a book. This month, however, I'm already way ahead of last month, and this month I have still 2 more promos lined up, so I know I'm gonna finish strong. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, there's a feeling of control, a sense of control over what I make. I know exactly where money comes from and know exactly what I'm missing if money isn't coming.
Thank you for listening to The List Building Lifestyle. Get access to the previous episodes, transcript of today's show, as well as other exclusive content at listbuildingLifestyleShow.com. Also remember to claim your free copy of my best-selling book at www.igorsbook.com. It explains how I made millions with list building starting from scratch. Plus, I'll give you $3,000 worth of free bonuses, including my best landing page templates, email swipe files, and traffic blueprints. Go to www.igorsbook.com now to claim your free package.